In the early 20th century, Britain faced significant financial struggles. The aftermath of World War One and the economic downturns of the Great Depression put a strain on the British economy. Maintaining distant territories is becoming increasingly costly and challenging. As Britain looked to mainstream its global influence, it began the process of decolonization, giving more autonomy to its dominions and colonies. As part of its decolonization effort, Britain decided to transfer parts of the British Antarctic Territory to Australia and New Zealand. This reorganization was intended to consolidate British interests in Antarctica and facilitate more effective management. Australia received a substantial portion of this territory, which was later formalized as the Australian Antarctic Territory (AAT). Australia's AAT covers approximately 5.9 million square kilometres, making it the largest portion of the Antarctic continent claimed by any country. New Zealand also acquired a part of the British Antarctic Territory, forming what is now known as the Ross Dependency, which spans about 450,000 square kilometres. At the time of decolonisation, the total area of Antarctica, which is the same as today, is 14 million square kilometres. Combining the area transferred to Australia and New Zealand, as well as the current British Antarctic Territory, provides an insight to British former claims. The British Antarctic Territory, after the transfers, covers around 1.7 million square kilometres. The total area of the British Antarctic Territory, Australian Antarctic Territory, and the Ross Dependency, also known as the New Zealand Antarctic Territory, amounts to about 8.1 million square kilometres. This is part of the larger Antarctic continent, showing that Britain previously had significant claims over the Antarctic region. Australia's proximity to Antarctica made it an ideal candidate for overseeing this remote land. For example, Hobart, Australia is about 3,443 kilometres or 2,141 miles away from Cassie Station in the Antarctic Territory, the Australian Antarctic Territory. In contrast, the distance between Perth and Brisbane, which are two major Australian cities, is about 4,259 kilometres or 2,651 miles. This geographical closeness meant that Australia could more effectively manage and monitor the region compared to Britain, which was far removed from the region. The correlation between Britain's financial struggles and the geographical advantages of Australia is clear. The distance between Britain and the AAT made it increasingly difficult and financially costly for Britain to manage the territory effectively. In contrast, Australia's proximity allowed it to take on more responsibility with greater ease. Australia well suited to manage the AET for several reasons, which is first, its geographical closeness meant it could swiftly respond to any issues. Second, Australia's suitable political environment provided a solid foundation for effective governance. Third, Australia had the infrastructure necessary for remote management. Fourth, the country had vast interest in its regional development. Finally, Australia had a growing interest in Antarctic exploration and research, aligning with its capabilities to oversee the area. The decision to transfer control was part of Britain's broader policy of decolonisation around the world. By the early 20th century, Britain was transitioning its global approach to grant more self-governance to its dominions. This was consistent with the broader decolonisation efforts across its empire. The formal transfer of the Australian Antarctic Territory was cemented through the Australian Antarctic Territory Acceptance Act of 1933. The agreement was reached between British Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald and Australian Prime Minister James Scullin. The Act officially recognised the Australian sovereignty over the territory, making a significant step in both countries' involvements and roles on the global stage.